Good afternoon, everybody. It's very nice to have you all join us. Thank you so much for joining us for today's panel discussion, where we're going to be discussing how schools are approaching extracurricular activities in the 21st century. I'd like to begin by introducing the five big names that we have on today's panel. Reputed, very, very well known, respectable educators of our country. Very, very happy to introduce Abhishek Bagchi sir, who is the director of MIT World Peace School, Pune. We have Aditi Misra ma'am, who is the director principal of Delhi Public School, Gurugram. We have Parveen Shaikh ma'am, who is the principal of the Somaya School, Mumbai. Shalini John ma'am, who is the IB head of Aditya Birla World Academy, Mumbai. And Sree Rekha Prasad ma'am, who is the principal of Siddharth Central School in Kerala. Good afternoon. Very nice to see everybody. We'll jump right in. Today, we're going to be discussing something that we've, of course, spoken about before. So I'll begin by asking our panel here, maybe Aditi ma'am, you'd like to begin with this. What does extracurriculars and co-curricular really mean? And what does it really mean in the aspect of everything that we're doing as educators in school?
Thank you for the question, Tanya. So we all have a curriculum. It could be the state curriculum, it could be the national curriculum, it could be an international curriculum. So there are certain activities that are linked to the curriculum. Those are called co-curricular. Extracurricular are those which are not necessarily linked to the curriculum and which can be followed at home, outside the purview of the school. Schools in the past, almost 2-3 decades, have been referring to it as co-curricular activities. Many, many years ago, when we were in school, it was called extracurricular. So it happened in school, but was called ECA. In fact, when students appear for university admissions, they are called ECA seats, extracurricular activity seats, But in school, the nomenclature has changed to co-curricular because everything today in the school, whether linked to the curriculum or not, is called co-curricular.
Right. And I think that's also a very big shift that we've seen with the IB board coming in. So I'm going to ask Shalini John ma'am. Ma'am, do you have any thoughts on how the definition of extracurricular and co-curricular activities has expanded for us with the IB board?
I think with the IB board especially, there's a very thin line of difference as to what you can categorize as curricular, co-curricular, as well as extracurricular. There is so much of experiential learning involved in the entire curriculum. It's very difficult to compartmentalize each of these. So it's very important that to have a holistic learning experience for the students, that we as educators bridge the gap and allow the flow to and fro in order to ensure that we have pitched our learning to what is expected of our learners today.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was wonderful. I love the word. I love the fact that you use the word experiential, because even the online world actually has changed that for us so much. So I'm going to ask Abhishek sir, would you like to share with us how you think the online world has affected the scope of opportunities for students today?
Okay, first of all, good afternoon, each and every one of you present here and this eminent panelist. The combined experience of this panelist will be, as tall as Mount Everest. And yes, that's a very relevant topic. Thank you, ScooNews and Ravi, to take up this topic, because usually what is happening here, like in all the webinars that we are speaking of last 2 years, we're all talking about, curriculum. We are all talking about the scholastic part of it. But it is really a very serious issue that our students, like in our online world, hardly got opportunity to actually come up and discuss about and even exercise their abilities in other co-curricular areas. Now, we started the discussion with extracurricular and co-curricular activities. As per me, as we are graduating slowly towards modern education system, I think this line, as rightly told by Shalini ma'am, this very line is getting it's becoming thinner as we are going towards it, because we are talking about interdisciplinary. And when we are talking about interdisciplinary, we talk about all this curriculum getting overlapping with each other. And there comes the blended learning also. Though, when we talk about blended learning, we often talk about the offline and the online synchronous, asynchronous part. But it is even like, other than the synchronous, asynchronous, and online, offline, even the curriculum is getting designed in such a way so that we are not talking about now only curriculum and co-curriculum and extracurriculum. It is getting overlapping and smoothly, getting intermingled, and that's where we are moving from the interdisciplinary to transdisciplinary. The moment we move towards transdisciplinary, the teacher, the 21st century teacher, they are getting equipped to actually build a curriculum which does not have any specific mention of math or sports or anything like that. I remember like a few years back, I was writing a book of mathematics on cricket. So the whole book is about cricket. Now, when it comes to online, that was my question that you asked, Tanya. Like when it comes to online, definitely we missed, we had several challenges, starting an online typical co-curricular things or extracurricular activities that we are trying to do. But definitely there are a lot of mindfulness activities which many school did, and included my school. There we got the opportunity to actually interact with the students, and actually we tried our best to involve the students. And instead of, there is no haptic environment involved in it, there was no touch involved, but still we tried to go beyond that, and we tried to reach the mind and the psychological portion of the students. And some of the areas it worked out, and some no, it didn't. But yes, the effort was there. I'm sure that many schools here, that eminent principals and directors here present, they also tried their best to do that. But let me tell you one thing, Tanya, like the challenges were immense. And when the school is now reopening, and you must come and see the students, like their happy faces, it's unparalleled. You cannot even, take and measure that kind of, it cannot have a rubrics to actually measure the outcome of the students who are coming to school and enjoying the classes. We are in a position in Maharashtra, okay, the heat is not that much, but the areas where the summer has already, showing the impact, some of the schools have reduced their timings, right, because of the heat. And the students, and I have also reduced 1 hour of timing, but already the students me and telling, sir, please don't do that. We are coming to school for a long time, so we'll play indoor. Okay, we don't have to go outdoor, we'll play indoor, but let's do that. So the point where I'm coming back, I think we should look at more into an interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary curriculum, and slowly, as Shalini ma'am said, let the line become thinner as possible. And maybe someday Ravi will be having another session where we'll be talking about how this line is getting thinner, and how we are actually and doing an excellent hybrid class where online, offline, curriculum, co-curriculum, extracurriculum are actually just one entity called curriculum, right?
That's wonderful, sir.
That's
wonderful. I don't think that the time is very far, especially when our country is in the hands of educators like you all. I really don't think that time that we will be discussing that is also very far. Parveen ma'am, would you like to share with us what have you gone through in Bombay? What do you think the students are doing now? Is it even important for students to be exposed to the world of extracurriculars at every age, every stage?
To begin with, this debate about extracurricular and co-curricular, I want to give my 2 cents of understanding. So what I feel as an educator, and I have always done that as soon as the child enters the school, until such time that the child leaves the school, whatever happens in the school is curriculum. Be it the morning prayer, be it the Janagana Mana at the end of the day. So I don't believe in distinguishing between curricular and co-curricular, because for me, both are equally important. One leads to the other, and one supports the other. And without the other, your education is incomplete. And in Abhishek sir was talking about online medium. So we started reluctantly online with only important subjects because we were new to the medium, and gradually moved to doing a lot of co-curricular, extracurricular, whatever you may want to call it, online. And we that was the only way available, and students did participate very well. as an educator, I have always supported these activities. In fact, when we started this school and I was new to it, there were lots of activities which were part of a curriculum, and parents were very, very apprehensive because I've always believed in the importance of these activities. See, if you go to any school's website and see what they say about education, they will use the word holistic development. Okay. But are we actually being holistic? Because when you call your education holistic, that means you are catering to their physical, socio-emotional, cognitive, and aesthetic development. But when I see the school's curriculum is very focused on cognitive. So our school curriculums are leaning more towards cognitive, only focusing on the left side of the child's brain, not tapping the right side of the brain. So when we talk about these co-curricular activities, they balance the curriculum. They give it, you're then using the whole brain of the child. And I personally feel when these things are added, it supports the theoretical learning. The gap between theory and practice is bridged. What children are learning in theory gets practiced in the practical aspect, whether they're playing sports, whether they're doing drama, or they're trying their hands on different kinds of arts and other kind of things that they learn in school. And I feel school is a very good place to begin this from a very early age, because school is a very democratic place where from a very young age, you are giving every child an opportunity. You're not choosing children, you are good at it, because it's too early to decide which child is good at what. So from an early age, when you put children through various activities which are age appropriate, very important to remember that those activities have to be age appropriate, and also why the school is doing those activities. Your reason for choosing those activities are very important. Like I said, I'm very convinced that they support the child's holistic development, and that's why they're important. It should be very process-oriented. It should not be product-oriented. Because I've seen parents getting very, very competitive and wanting children to do extremely well, and then it becomes pressure. So if it is a healthy balance of co-curricular, curricular activities, it helps the child. We keep talking about 21st century skills. Okay, big words we are using. Children cannot learn those skills by sitting in the classroom listening to their teachers. Okay, some of it will get covered there, but largely for them to practice these skills, they have to be out on the ground or on the stage or in the music room, failing, getting up, trying again, working in a group, collaborating with other students who are probably different from them. So I see a lot of value, and that's why for me, there is no distinction between curricular and co-curricular. And if you see my school's curriculum, there's a balance. In fact, we have equal number of co-curricular activities during the school day. Again, looking in the future, as we are going ahead and we know how world is playing out, children will be traveling the world. They will be going out and working and meeting different kind of people. These skills will come in handy. Nobody will just question them on their marks. They will also be seeing whether children have developed these skills. And these skills are developed only when they are interacting socially with other human beings. Lastly, when they are applying for different universities, these come in handy. More than that, we all were in lockdown for 2 years, and we realized if we did not have a hobby, we did not have some other things other than our core subject that we are so good at, we didn't know what to do with the time. So people who had hobbies, people who had some sport that they had played, they were extremely happy. In fact, they took this time of lockdown as a blessing. Now I can do this, because otherwise we don't have time. So for students' well-being, for their holistic development, for giving their personality those extra layers and those other colors, I think it's extremely important that schools take this up very seriously. Parents have begun to realize it slowly. Earlier it was only academics, but now parents' mindset is also moving towards these things because they see the difference in the child. Right. One last thing I want to say, my personal experience has been that students who are not academically very bright, sometimes they don't have anything to latch on to. And these students, when they do well in co-curricular activities, they get a medal or maybe they come on stage, they develop that confidence, which is much needed. Right. That confidence feeds into their other areas and they start doing well academically. So I see a very strong connection between children doing well in co-curricular activities and that getting transferred in their academic performance. And they do well because they've gained confidence. And that's important. Once they're confident in one area, it goes to the other areas also. So extremely important. Initially, in the pre-primary and primary years, they explore larger topics and areas. They don't narrow it down so soon. When they go to secondary and higher secondary, they know what they're good at, and then they can start narrowing it down and maybe polishing and honing a particular skill or area. But earlier years, give them a lot of things to explore and find where they are, what they're good at. So yeah, I'm a big fan of having a good combination of curricular and co-curricular activities in the curriculum.
Thank you, ma'am. That was wonderfully put, and so many important things that you said, two which stood out to me. One is that the immediate validation that a student gets from extracurricular activities, actually any sort of non-academic activities rather, actually gives them such a big boost in all parts of their life. And the second was that a lot of the 21st century skills that we keep talking about, that we keep emphasizing, are actually very difficult to do within a classroom. So I'm going to ask Rekha ma'am now. Ma'am, can you share with us some of the challenges that you've faced or you've heard of from educators around you while implementing some of these opportunities in the non-academic space for your students?
Madam, first of all, let me tell, according to my opinion, I feel this co-curricular, extracurricular, the thin line is even getting erased off by the implementation of a national education policy, because learning is by doing, experiential learning coming to be, competency-based education comes into being. So every child, dominant, multiple intelligence also has to be catered to. So when we look into that, dominant, multiple intelligence of every child, so education has to be catered in such a manner that every child's dominant intelligence has to be catered. So maybe one child's dominant intelligence is music, other child is kinesthetic, other child is some other activities. So based on that, let the child learn and exhibit based on the dominant multiple intelligence. So the challenge which we face is maybe the teachers at certain times, maybe the teachers are not equipped enough to plan the activities according to the need, dominant need of every child. Sometimes we do notice that teachers, when they take the lesson, after that, if there is any gap, for filling the gap, what they do is they repeat the lesson in the same manner. In many other principles, I've heard that. So when they do the lesson in the same manner, the child is not going to get it. What we need to do is we have to change the plan after identifying the dominant intelligence of the child and redesign the lesson for the child. So for example, if a child is having musical intelligence, that child is not able to learn the periodic table, you just give a tune to it, the child learns very quickly. So just tap the dominant intelligence of the child and plan the lesson according to the number of students seated in your class. That is one of the important challenges that the teachers face. And what I do in my school is after this NEP and after 21st century skills manual has come, every week I'm giving trainings for the teachers where teachers take lessons which caters to all the aspects of 21st century skills. After the presentation, teachers, there will be feedback session where teachers will be assessing which of the 4 C's, whether IMT or whether flips, all these components of 21st century skills was included in the lesson plan or not. So when this training was being done, initially there was a lot of hurdles, but after the training, now teachers understand very well how to implement it. Other important challenge in extracurricular activities which we provide is, there are many, we provide a lot of n number of activities where I've already said the line is almost erased. So through the activities they learn. So there are some children with almost all the variety of intelligence, maybe gifted ones. So we give activities catering to all the dominant intelligence, but these children want to participate in everything. So when they participate in everything, and if they are not getting chance for participating in one, it's challenging. So at that time, I feel challenging to how to cater that for providing, how can I provide that same for every child because of the time lag. And same way, other important challenge which I face is for the higher classes, if you look into, there is a need for change in the curriculum according to this experiential learning, competency-based, according to that syllabus has to be redesigned. According to the heavy load of the syllabus which we are having right now, blending this extracurricular and academic to the full extent is not always possible, because covering the syllabus also matters. So in that, we have to redesign it. So that comes another challenge. Then again, as I said, these students, when they are not able to everybody participate right now. Parents also have issue of, if their child is not participating, is not able to participate in any of them, they start, injecting their children, even if it is not their intelligence, even then they force their children to participate in certain where the child is not interested in. So at that time we face a little bit of challenge. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, ma'am. Aditi, ma'am, would you like to tell us some of maybe the key changes, the shifts that you've noticed with the NEP coming in? Even without that, actually, so many educators now have got so much more exposure themselves as well. So has that led to any changes, any shifts in our schools?
Certainly, yes, because I think even before the NEP came, progressive schools have realized that children actually enjoy co-curriculars more than the curriculum, to be honest. All of us sitting on this panel, if you were to just shut your eyes for a minute and remember your happiest moment in school, it won't be a lesson in geography or how you learnt about quantum physics. It will be some play you did, even if you were a tree in that play, or you gave a speech in an assembly. So all that has become so inextricably intertwined in the curriculum that schools have become conscious of it. They're taking cognizance. Parents are looking for those opportunities, So a parent always looks for a school which will not just do the curriculum, but also have what kind of co-curricular activities do you have? That's a question that they always ask. If they go on a website, they see, oh, there's so many dances that were done. This is the kind of show and tell they had. Oh, this is the kind of annual day they had. So you can imagine the kind of shift that's happening in the parents' mind. Even today, the school is the place where a lot of hidden talent is actually seen. Parents may not even know that the child is a singer or a dancer. I've had parents come and tell me, I didn't know my daughter could dance. I knew she could sing. I've heard her singing very often. But you got her to dance and she's brilliant at it. We notice negatives also, by the way. I mean, every child wearing spectacles is first caught in school, because they can't see the blackboard. Right. So a lot of things that the schools pick up and the parents, sort of hone that. Because as I think Parveen ma'am said, that a lot of parents are realizing the importance of a hobby, which kept us sane during this lockdown. There were those months that we couldn't step out. We couldn't even see our neighbor. So I sang my heart out. I embroidered. I read, so I had the time to do all that, time that I was spending on the road perhaps, or time that I was spending in being in school and doing my work. Now that work was finishing off much earlier because of online classes. So you could pick up your hobbies, and I think it's the biggest de-stressor. For me, it's not so much a matter of validation as a method of de-stressing myself. I want to relax doing something I enjoy. So it could be a book, it could be reading, it could be walking, it could be embroidering, it could be painting, it could be whatever you want. The other good thing, a good shift that has happened in the past 2 years or so, more in 2 years than earlier, was a lot of activities are now offered online. Yeah. So a parent who's working and unfortunately cannot, ferry their children to an activity class for an hour or two, are now able to pay a certain amount and go online to learn music, to learn creative writing, to learn public speaking, to learn storytelling. There is a lot that's happening in the online space as well. And I think one more very good thing which has happened in terms of shift. One is, of course, the importance of, understanding that co-curriculars are very, very important, is the removal of gender bias. And, again, I speak from experience over here. For some reason, boys used to be not very fond of going in for an embroidery class till we made it compulsory. There'll be an activity for the month. Everybody's going to learn how to sew on a button. Everybody's going to learn how to make a decent sandwich or a salad. Everybody will learn gardening, irrespective of, there's no such thing as a girl's job or a boy's job. Going forward, we have to have these. I find in the online space, those lines have become blurred. And I'm very happy because now you have boys joining classes for cooking just as much as girls joining classes for simulation in flying, for example. Okay. So a lot of activities are being offered, which are opening a variety of doors for children in the online space as well. And these are all very healthy things to happen, because the old adage, that an idle mind is a devil's workshop, that is being addressed over here, because children after school, homework done, playing done. Now parents have not come back from work. So instead of just sitting alone and watching TV, they get into some activity, which is going to help them in some way or the other in the future. Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you. That was wonderful. And thank you for leading us into also saying that there are online activities that have been beneficial for students, because that's what actually Open House aims to do. And we've been working with schools and students across the country, even in fact abroad over the past 2 years, and been seeing increasingly how much there is to do with students, even though you're online, because the past 2 years have actually taught us a lot more than we had ever known. Shalini ma'am, would you like to tell us maybe a few examples of activities or unique experiences that you've been putting together for the students in your school?
It's been a variety of experience, especially because of the transition from the online to the offline, and then managing a hybrid class and all of that, and keeping co-curriculars, extracurriculars, all that's still happening, and running academics at the same time. So our focus at school has been basically skill development. We focused on thinking skills, communication skills, social skills, research skills, and of course, what is fundamentally important was the self-management. So all of this we roped in through the activities that we ran online. We had the activity of the Model United Nations, where we had our own school MUN, which was happening, which was ABMUN. So the students got an opportunity to organize the entire MUN online, which was a unique experience for all of them, challenging at the same time, but they had a lot of fun and learning out of that. We had a lot of extracurricular activities which could be run online as well, which we call the ECAs, or the clubs running in school. So which included the math club, we had a dance club, we had a club which focused on mobile app and game development. We had the STEM club which was running, a book club, a TEDx club. We had a club for artificial intelligence. So even students with all their diverse needs could find some space which is of their interest and what they would like to pursue beyond just the academics bit of it. We had internships which were being organized online by our teams. We had international math competitions. We have our school international competition, which is known as Infinity. We had large participation from different schools in that. That gave our students an opportunity to organize and participate as well. We had what is known as the Bridge You program. The Bridge You program is to bridge the gap between the academia and industry. That's what we are preparing our kids for, to enter into the world and to sort of understand how the industries work. So we had that program which was introduced. And of course, the community service programs ran. So all the tie-ups and giving back to the community actually proved to be so valuable, especially during the pandemic when people were locked in their houses and they felt isolated. I think reaching out to the community and spreading happiness and joy to others gave us so much of satisfaction and happiness also. So a number of programs that were run, and students could actually pick and choose what they were interested in and where they thought they fit in the best.
How wonderful. I really wish even I was in school at this point in time, because then I would have had an exposure to all these wonderful things that you're all talking about. Abhishek sir, would you like to share with us a little bit about how you've seen students respond to some of these activities and opportunities that we've all been talking about today?
Well, Shalini ma'am has already spoken about a lot of activities, and most of our schools are doing it, like quizzing and debate and MUN. We gave the students the platform to express themselves, because like what happened when a teacher taught them online. So many schools, like including us, have given them the opportunity to become a teacher. You know, like they came up as a teacher and they presented their learning in the form of a video that they have recorded. It's a kind of role playing that they did, and they created a theater and they presented it. So and we know that if the moment we teach something to someone, like we learn a lot. So there in kind of like students got another kind of perspective of learning. Like, yes, I can also become a learner by teaching something in online. Okay. But those are activities that we all did. But I'm trying to highlight some areas that we often, like, they are very subtle, but they actually worked in the last 2 years, that during the online asynchronous teaching or synchronous teaching platforms, like the students understood the word gratitude. they understood, like how difficult is for a teacher to teach online, being a person from the 20th century teaching a 21st century kid. Like, so they have understood this aspect. Most of them have understood this aspect. Though in the meantime, like when the teacher was teaching, like the classroom, there was a time when teacher was not disturbed or interrupted when the teacher is taking classes, right? Then the CCTV came, right? And the CCTV started, broadcasting that in our principal's room. And now the whole classroom has gone inside the child's privacy. So we have often seen that a teacher is taking the class and someone is like a parent or someone is walking at the back or something like that. So this understanding this kind of situation and all the disturbances created, I had teachers who were hiding themselves in the storeroom and taking classes because they don't want their family to know that they're taking classes, because that responsibility is, these are real situations. The senior kids understood the situation. They understood how difficult for a teacher to take class, especially being a family, being a homemaker or someone who is like taking care of the family. In one side, there are like, cooking is going on and it's like handling the cooking, maybe a small baby sometimes coming and peeping in the camera on the camera. So taking all these things into consideration, that's why I often say that teachers, you can bring your baby in my classroom, because our students will also know that, okay, it's not an very easy thing to come and teach, like you have got another life to take care also. Okay. So this is some kind of, and I really liked how, and we have given our students, to write essay on that. We had a conversation on which they have spoken about how difficult it was, the transition of the teachers, and then they did overnight. They are the true champions, like they did it overnight. And so I hope that this particular exercise that we had in 2 years of blended learning actually helped our students to understand life and generate more gratitude. I would be highlighting that impact area more in a social emotional part, because learning will always take place. If you don't even teach, they will be learning. So it doesn't matter. But what matters is like to expose them with different situations. I would request all our panelists to actually keep on doing this kind of exercises. Sometimes, like now they are coming offline. That doesn't mean that we'll be stopping this blended learning throughout. Like once in a while, maybe that we can do it to actually understand, and there a student can also be utilized as a resource, and the student can become a teacher, as I said. So that will also give some kind of assignment to it. See, long distance learning, like this online learning is like, long distance relationship, like long distance marriages. But you can never say that these are, actually working, but we learn a lot from them. We learn patience, we learn, gratitude, and we learn a lot. We understand perspective, because when people are very close to us, we become myopic, right? We don't see the micro day-to-day things which are happening every day. And when you sometimes zoom out and you look at those things and you understand, okay, now what actually is going on. So it is very important to go for such kind of discussion without, like putting it and hiding the whole thing and brushing it under the carpet. Let's discuss these things with our students and understand what a teacher, a principal, the loneliest person in the whole world, and actually going through, like, and when they go inside, the camera go inside their house, they really know that what actually going for them or to them. Okay, that's my take into this situation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's very, very well said. I know for one that in the past 2 years, I am even more grateful for the teachers that I've had and for what I've seen in terms of the hard work being put by all the current teachers in the country. I come from a family of educationists as well. So I saw my grandmother trying to learn how to use Zoom. I saw my mother trying to take Zoom classes with a blackboard behind her, without knowing that there's a whiteboard that you can use on your screen itself. So I've seen all the hard work go in firsthand, and I know that there's been a lot of gratitude from me. I'm sure that it's going to be the same from the students as well. It's a really interesting actually time, because the 21st century has brought us so many new challenges, so many new learnings. So Parveen ma'am, would you like to tell us twofold question for you actually? Would you like to tell us what you think a 21st century student means, and what does a 21st century student need?
Good question. According to me, every student who's here in today's day and time is a global citizen. Because no matter which part of India they are in, whether they are in a metro city or a tier 2 city, they know what is happening in the rest of the world, all thanks to the media connection. So they are very well connected with the rest of the world. And they also know that how one thing, if it is happening in some part of the world, is impacting their life. If there's a war happening, how it is impacting people in India, how it is impacting our economy. So they know we are a global village, we are interconnected. And they also know, and we also know as educators, that in future, these students would be taking up many jobs, some locally, some globally. And we don't know what those jobs are going to be. There are lots of researches and reports which say that the job that these students would be doing don't even exist today. So what are we preparing them for? What do we give them? Content is available very easily online. And with online education, children have become very independent learners. So what are we going to do as educators? If we want them to be global citizens, we want them to be 21st century learners, we need to give them the right kind of attitude, right kind of mindset, right kind of skill set, which they can use in the variety of situations, because we don't know what the future will be. Nobody had anticipated pandemic, but we all survived. Thank God to whatever skills we had picked up when we were growing up. I don't know whether children of this generation have the grit and perseverance that we had when we were growing up. So a lot of things that we will be giving them or teaching them would be grit, perseverance, growth mindset. Children these days don't want to fail. Everybody wants to win, do well. Everybody wants to come first. Everybody wants to get 99.9. How are they going to survive? So one thing is, we have to teach them how to fail gracefully, how to learn from their mistake, how to embrace challenges, and how to face those challenges and do well. So these are the things that we will give them, because we don't know what kind of jobs they will be doing and how many jobs they will change. They need to be adaptable. They need to learn to be with very diverse community, maybe learn a couple of languages because they will be traveling the world. So they are global citizens right away. And the future is absolutely uncertain. So we need to give them those skill set, tools to survive. That's all we can do. And that's what makes them 21st century learners.
That's very, very well put. Thank you, ma'am. I'd just like to remind our audience members that we're going to be heading into a question answer time period for the last 15 minutes of the conversation, which is about 7 minutes from now. So if there are any questions that you'd like answered by the panel, please put them in the Q&A section and we'll come back to those. Rekha ma'am, would you like to share with us maybe a unique experience or something that you hadn't done before in school pre-COVID that you did during the past 2 years of COVID?
Yes, of course. Actually, COVID was a complete metamorphism for the complete, education field. We were not so techno-savvy earlier. There were teachers who had not even touched the laptop. It was for the first time. Complete digitalization. I feel all the schools might have experienced it. So facing all these challenges was not so easy. This we have discussed a lot. But we had a lot of learning from these experiences. We had been so much innovative because there was a lot of brainstorming done. Share and grow was the policy which was implemented on almost all the CBSE schools, because earlier every CBSE school used to have certain unique of their own and they never used to share. But I think after COVID, we had a lot of share and grow process, and that I do appreciate, where I think all the schools start. And what I understood is after this, we had been very innovative in so many different varieties of activities. Like, for example, Man Ki Baat. Man Ki Baat is one of the programs which we have implemented in the school for second language Hindi. Hindi is not commonly spoken over here in Kerala. But by introducing Man Ki Baat, our students are so very active in Hindi and they started speaking. There's a lot of change. Same way, for example, if we take in the case of language, for English language, we asked them, reading was affected during the COVID time, writing skill, LSRWSH was affected. So for enhancing that, what we did is we created Gryffindor Activity. And the Gryffindor Activity was for reading books, or reading different varieties of books. And after that, enacting it out and taking videos. So this Gryffindor group, J.K. Rowling's books, they used to read and they used to enact it out. And that was another big change, revolutionary change brought about in the reading activity. Then there was teaching challenge. teaching challenge where the students started taking the lessons which the teacher has already taught in their own way. And after taking 21st century skills lessons, teachers have trained students for taking 21st century skills lessons. So students have created videos based on that. Then there was mentor-mentee program for the teachers as well as students, where if a student is good in any of the activities, she or he has to include as many students as possible. They support in learning, they support in activities as mentor-mentee activities. We also had, as I told in the previous sessions, about Miyawaki activity, where they have created home forest. Every house they created home forest. And that also is a creative art integrated project like. Then apart from that, mentor-mentee has made our school, whatever the psychological issues they had, that has been solved, because for every 7 students, there was one teacher mentor. And there was parental support also. Parent also collaborated a lot. So there was a very good, facilitation given for the students. And we also received Mindful School Award based on that. Then for taking the, during the COVID time, the students' body clock was affected a lot. And for adjusting that body clock, what we did is we started giving them early morning, we started giving them love maths activity, grammar quiz, then communicative English activities. But for doing that, they used to wake up early in the morning and the body clock was, reset according to that. Then apart from that, we also had, we made a movie. Now the movie is under process. Cinema, we are taking cinema and we are creating a theater in the school, which will be having facility of about 200 students. And this movie is not a simple movie. It is as usual, normal movie. And all the actors, major actors also there. And majority of the roles have been played by the students. And it is an awareness generation for, mafia in medical field mafia, where they have to be aware about what they have to be aware regarding the medical, in medical field. Then apart from that, calls experiential learning cycle. Calls experiential learning cycle we have implemented everywhere. And in every activity, we bring students forward. We bring forward, and right from planning till organizing everything, students take a major role. And after that, we have a reflection session. And what went on well, what could have been better, all those reflections we do. And we plan ahead for if it is given another chance, how they can, implement in a better form. A lot of brainstorming, lot of interactions. And above all, every child, we ensure that every child gets prize. Every child gets certificate, or they get a trophy, or they get a medal. And that is the duty of the, class teacher to monitor if there is any child left out without a trophy, without a certificate or anything, because that is acknowledgement. As earlier, I think Parveen madam told about it, acknowledging everybody. So we give importance for acknowledging each and every child. And that gives a motivation for everyone. I'm sorry, the current has gone. And that gives motivation for every child. And we also give importance for, a parent. Parent play a major role. The resourceful parents from every part, they come to the school, they cooperate. School has any function, we include the parents in every community, in every committee. So when they are included in every committee, they take it up as if it is their responsibility. They even take uniform, they even take similar dresses for the school function. They consider it to be as the school's function, to be their own function. So that is what the collaboration that we have, parents also. So this was during the COVID period that the complete metamorphism and the transformation took place. I'm sure such sessions which we have, panel discussions, brainstorming sessions which we have, we all learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for reiterating in the end that this was all during the COVID period, because I would have easily mistaken this to be your decade-long journey and not really the past 2 years. But thank you. Aditi ma'am, Rekha ma'am just talked about parents, and I'd love to ask you, what do you think has been some of the changes that we've seen from parents? Have they changed in any way? Is there something new happening with the parents in our schools?
Again, in the past 2 years, there's been a very beautiful coming together, a collaboration, because now the classroom has reached the home and the parent is inside the classroom. So I had remarked way back in June of 2020 that I think the next PTMs, whenever school opens, will be very kind and very soulful ones, because now the parent knows what the teacher has gone through.
Right.
And somewhere the teacher in entering the home has become closer to the child and to the entire family. So for me, again, I'm going back to the last 2 years, there's been a beautiful collaboration because whatever we've done by way of presentations, not just learning and teaching, has been with the help of parents. So we've made videos where parents have sung with us. They have enacted stuff with us. Children have done some movie making. So parents have got involved. Teachers have got involved. We've danced together, actually. So it's been a coming together, which is quite rare, in a sense. And what the parents have seen in the child who has got involved in this is the sense of collaboration coming together, which they had not seen before. So children who were normally very quiet in class, we've seen them blossom during the pandemic. They've come forward to help collaborate. They've done some very creative work. They have critically thought of how they can present something. If it's not working out this way, let's try something else. So I think that has worked very well for parents, children, and teachers. And I think one of the panelists said something about grit and perseverance in children. I think these 2 years have shown our children in the best light possible. I'm extremely proud of the children across the globe who have stayed inside their homes and not lost it. I think it's commendable. For teachers also, a loud shout out for teachers for managing beautifully, but also to children with all their energy to sit inside a room and not be told you can't go out. Matter finishes over here. Okay, teachers were sending lessons and music and dance and how to do yoga and how to do push-ups. But for them to stay sane without each other has been commendable. So I think all that, and of course, organizations like yours, which have reached out and offered something else to children to keep them engaged and happy, has again been, I think, a loud shout out for everyone who's done that.
Thank you, ma'am. Though the loudest shout out actually for you all, for allowing us to do it, for allowing students to be themselves, for creating this world beyond just knowing your textbook, which really was what it was for me. And I did not graduate very, very long ago. So thank you for being you, all of you. And I really do hope that this continues in the generations going forward, because the shift that we are seeing in the education space today is really remarkable. Shalini ma'am, I'm going to ask you the last question from me, and then we'll go on to the audience questions. We've talked about so many different things today. We've talked about how so many different opportunities can be created for students. But how does a school really cope with all the various advancements that we are seeing around us? How do we really get to what's best for our students?
I think first and foremost, we need to look at all the stakeholders, starting from the school leadership, where you need to have robust leadership with a lot of vision, who can possibly understand what the needs of the students are, and therefore push all programs and curriculum running in the school likewise. So I would say the key factor would be having the qualities of attunement, buoyancy, as well as clarity for leadership. For the students, it would be creating and understanding what is student agency, giving choice to the students. I think that is what will enable and bring about a change and a buy-in from our students. So bringing in things like design thinking, experiential learning, project-based learning, program-based learning, problem-based learning, all that will bring in a lot of engagement from the students' point of view. Now, for us as educators, to keep up with the changing demands, I think we need to grow professionally. So that's why, again, bringing in a lot of collaboration among faculty, among the staff of the school, through a lot of professional development and an investment in professional development will help us reap benefits. So it's not just something that has to be budgeted for because it is required, but it is something that has to come as an essential need, which actually contributes to the development of our students. So this will bring in that interdisciplinary connections that we all talked about. So not just looking at subjects in isolation, but bringing out that subjects into the experiential learning and bridging that gap which exists between what is being taught in class in terms of content to taking it to the level of metacognition. So I think those are few things that schools can look into, and that will go a long way in helping the students and us to help our students understand what the needs are.
Lovely. Thank you. We'll now be moving on to the attendee questions. And I have a very interesting one. So whoever would like to take this to answer this, please do go ahead. The pandemic has totally disconnected our students with the outside world. When can we expect taking our students on school trips and start bridging the gap again? And what would be the suitable option at the beginning for them, domestic or international journeys?
Shall I go?
Yes, ma'am.
So we had planned a trip in the March of 2020, which obviously got shelved. And we are taking out, touchwood, our first lot of children soon after the board exam, because those children who were in the 7th then are now sitting for the board exam. 8th, they were entering 8th class. So class 8 and class 9 have been in the lockdown. As soon as the exam finishes on 24th, on the 26th, 27th and 28th, they are going out. And now all resorts, all trip organizers are extremely conscious of COVID protocols. So buses have been sanitized. We are taking extra buses so that there's adequate distancing. Even the resorts are not putting in 3 or 4 children in a room, but only 2 in a room. So with all that in place, with fingers crossed, hopefully we'll send our first lot out in the end of May. I hope things are okay. I'm
sure things will be okay, ma'am. It really is a matter of taking the first plunge, and
absolutely,
I'm pretty sure things will be okay.
And like people say that probably COVID is here to stay. We have to learn to live with it and keep this dangling on our nose and on our necks all the time, and things should be fine.
Yes. Yes, Rekha, ma'am.
And we had already taken, in Kerala, it was comparatively better. We had already taken our students right from 1 to 8 for a trip. It's already over. And the 11th and 12th, we are planning to move ahead. After their exam, after the board exam, we are planning for the next.
Wow.
Lovely. So that gives us all a lot more confidence now to be able to do it as well. Wonderful. The next question is that we have lots of activities that happen in school, including theater, art, craft, etc., etc. The dilemma that educators sometimes face is the completion of academic portions and allowing so many activities. So very often you're tempted to take away from some of these activities. Do you face the same? What do you do to solve for it? Anything?
Can I?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, please, Parveen.
So I think when you plan well and when you integrate, when you do subject integration, co-curricular and curricular integration, a lot of things gets covered. So a lot of planning needs to be done. When you plan better, I think you're spending lesser time in the classroom. So 2-3 teachers co-teaching together, bringing in art, music, all, and even your assessments can be, with one project, you can assess 5 subjects if required. So why are you doing it separately? So that back-end planning is very, very important, and collaborative planning is required. Not just one teacher sitting in her staff room and doing planning. It has to be collaborative. Only then you will save time and you will be able to give children much more than what otherwise you are able to give. Yeah. Ma'am, please add, Aditi, ma'am.
So wedding co-curriculars to the curriculum is a very interesting thought. I teach history to senior school. So if there was a topic which I thought was very content heavy, so instead of me going and just spewing out information, I should divide the topic into 7 or 8 groups. And the group used to make a presentation. So a lot of art would go in. They would bring in some music of that. They bring in some dance elements and they would present. So while learning, they were teaching. And while teaching, they were learning. The other thing which the teachers tried during the pandemic was doing chemistry through rap. So the entire periodic table has been converted into a rap song. So learning was happening with a lot of fun, Right. So I think anything, if you want to, you want to teach new concepts, proverbs, for example, in any language, why only English and Hindi, in any language, do it through dumb charades. So bringing in fun, bringing in mime, theater, acting, music, dance into the classroom while covering a particular topic, because teachers are very conscious of, I have to cover this topic.
Right. Very well said. Shalini ma'am, I'll just ask Abhishek sir if he'd like to add something and then we'll come to you.
No, it's like perfectly told by Parveen ma'am. Parveen ma'am has perfectly said that you don't have to dedicate one period for drama or music or something like that. Your lesson can convert themselves into, and a proper planning can actually take them into some integrated lessons. where the engagement will increase. Like the person who has written that question, I would suggest that you convert your lesson into more musical and more drama. Aditi ma'am said like rap songs that's an excellent idea, by the way. Okay, it can be.
They actually did it.
Yeah, but please, I would request you to share it with us. So
I'll send it to Mr. Ravi Santlani, and he'll
perfect. He's the best person So something like this, like, and we can share our best practices, and definitely these are the way to do that, and that will actually increase the engagement inside the classroom, and it will become a more active classroom while as learning is concerned. So that was my take. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Shalini ma'am.
I just like to add there, I think the key is to just enable the teachers to have a lot of time for collaboration. So all these activities and putting it into the classroom and driving it and making sure that it is all a successful activity that happens, teachers need time to plan. So key is a collaboration time provided to our teachers, and I think they all have the creative ideas just bubbling in them, and they will execute it and make it very very interesting and engaging for our students.
Absolutely. I've seen so many, like Aditi ma'am was mentioning, so many new hobbies came out of even teachers, and they used it to actually teach some of the academic courses as well. It's been a huge learning curve for everybody, but a very, very interesting one. The next question is one that's actually very close to my heart as well. So I'm going to ask that, and whoever would like to answer this, please let me know. Students nowadays don't want to write as much, especially the primary students after the pandemic. How do we bring an interest in students to actually start writing again? Yes, Abhishek sir.
Yeah, I'd like to start this topic because I think we are overstressing writing because we are coming from that 20th century. And we have a tendency to, overstress that writing skill a lot. I'm not saying that writing skill is not required, it's required. But there was a time when we shifted from carving on a stone to writing, and there must be a revolution happening that day. Like, okay, the art of carving stone is like getting, lost or something like that. And people started, picking up pens. So similarly, there is a transformation happening, and I don't think that our students in future are going to write that much. Even we have stopped almost writing stuff. Okay, so writing, as far as the motor skill is concerned, and our memory, definitely, there's a help happening that happens in the memory when we write. So till that level, the writing practice is good enough, but we should not force it. This can be just another activity, as we are doing lots of other activities. Writing can be just one of them. And there can be some, again, very interesting, engaging activities where the student can express their thoughts to writing, but it should not be like, it should be a democratic process where the student should be given option. If they want to type, let them type. If they want to write, let them write. I'm sure that this pre-primary group, when they will go to, board examination, they will have that option of giving examination in a different method or medium. Right. Right. So I don't know, like people can differ with me, but I think that
I agree completely. Whatever you force on the children, they'll grow up hating it. So don't make them, they've not really written down for a long time. So so it can working with plasticine, painting, holding of the pencil or the pen is not so important. Just hold a brush and paint. No child resists that. And you have a colorful board. Let them just splash paint around. They learn to grip the pencil. It'll all come back. I think this whole hype around learning gaps is also getting a bit much. There's nothing called a learning gap as of now. Right now, we've survived the pandemic, touch wood, hopefully. And our children have come out more resilient, stronger, more patient, and I think a lot more grateful than we ever were for what we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do think a lot more curious as well. Yeah. So many different types of questions, so many different types of opportunities that they've been able to access has also led to a very high amount of curiosity. Absolutely. Parveen ma'am, were you wanting to ask?
This is a question that everybody's been talking about. Teachers are very, very worried about writing. So my question is, what do you mean by writing? Do you mean by writing strictly in the notebook with red and blue line and perfect formation, then obviously children are not writing and they will not write because they don't like it. Connect it to real life. Ask a child to make a list of things they want to buy when they go to mall with their parents on a Sunday. You see how much they will write. Why don't you connect writing to real life? So I have a post box. A carpenter has made a post box which I'm going to keep in my corridor in the between the classes. And children are supposed to write letters to different people. So we are going to change the topic. So they will be writing to maybe Prime Minister Modi ji, asking for something. Sometimes they'll be writing to their favorite author. Sometimes they will be writing to somebody, some fictional character. How do you make writing interesting, relevant, and meaningful for them? And writing doesn't have to be perfect spelling. So we do something called invented writing, where children express themselves. We don't care about the spelling so much at the moment, because I want the child to first learn to express. The grammar and spelling will take care of itself later. It's extremely important to give them avenues which are meaningful for them to write. It doesn't have to be sentences. It can even be words. And it can also be writing in groups, writing in pairs, because initially if writing individually becomes very daunting, why not pair them up? Two friends writing together and they contribute. So there are tons of ways in which you can make writing fun for children, especially in primary, because that's my area of interest. So I'm talking about it. And it doesn't have to be in the notebook. And don't worry about the handwriting. That should be the last concern.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you, everybody. Are there any last closing remarks for this wonderful, wonderful conversation that we've had today? Anything anybody would like to add?
Yes, I think, Tanya, with your permission,
absolutely.
It's again, I would request each and everyone to have, discussions, this kind of conversation session with your students, and try to highlight the perspectives of different types of learning that happened in the last 2 years. Our teachers become vulnerable, and that vulnerability has allowed them to step down from that platform, that guru, platform. It is very much required for the students to actually understand that our teachers are also human beings. And that is very much important for each and every one to understand. And the more you can allow the students to create into that circle, and the better they will trust you, the more they will trust you. And it will be easier for you to actually, for the other teachers who are listening here and participating in this wonderful session, where they will be more trustworthy. So that is the actual thing. And there was a time when we always had a distance between us and the teachers. I think that 21st century skills, 21st century is like removing that distance, and this online teaching really helped it. And let's capitalize this particular situation or opportunity, and let's have discussion more with the students, and let's not normalize the tragedy also that has happened. And let's have a discussion on that. And that can be, I think, very fruitful learning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Parveen ma'am. Thank you, Shalini ma'am. Thank you, Aditi ma'am. Thank you, Rekha ma'am. And thank you, Ravi. This was absolutely wonderful. It has been easily the best thing I have done in my past 5 years. The fun, the learning, everything, of course, continues in Jaipur. The conference is in August. Ravi is going to be sharing lots more about that. But please do attend, and I look forward to seeing you all there as well. As Openhouse, we would love to continue our conversation.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm receiving a few direct messages. They want to know what Openhouse is, and they want to know more about it. I just typed a few things on the chat box, but if you could just take a moment and kind of explain, what Openhouse is.
With pleasure. So Openhouse is a learning company based out of Bangalore and Calcutta. We have learning centers in Bangalore and Calcutta where we do lots of activities for students after school. But a lot of the work that we've actually been doing over the past 2 years is with schools in the country and abroad, putting together a number of extracurricular activities and extracurricular curriculums for students to do online, do with international mentors, do with each other across the world. And we've been actually doing a lot of active learning and learning by doing that we've just spoken about today. I will also share an Openhouse link and my contact details on the chat for anybody who'd like to reach out, who'd like to know more, who'd like to have a conversation about this further. I've got so many different thoughts from everything that I've heard today. So thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And that brings us to the end of the webinar. And we're going to see you next week. I mean, this was really refreshing after a long time. And I think, we should keep doing this. And once again, thank you and have a great evening, each one of you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.